look at this. If child want to, now there is a child component. What are events? Any event occurs here, parent want to handle it. So we have created event, child and parent. Child component will fire, parent component will handle. Child component will fire, parent component will handle. So to do this, in the events what we have done, we created an event. What are the steps involved? Create an event. Create an event. Register event. Handle event. This is what we used to do in the events. So we used to create an event, then child component is to register an event, parent component is to handle the event. This is how the parent is able to call, or parent is able to call, parent child is able to call the parent method. Child trying to call the method from parent. Child is able to call method from the parent. Just give me 1 minute. Child is able to call the method from the parent. When the event occurs on the child, it is calling the method from the parent. Child fire, parent action will be happening. But now look at the context here. What if the parent want to call the method from child? Parent, I have a parent component, I have a child component. This child component has one action, child action. Now, parent want to call the child action. Parent want to call the child action. So it has, I can say parent. Now parent has a controller. Parent controller want to call child controller. We have a parent and child. We have parent and child. Whatever the controller we have on the child, the parent want to call. If the parent controller want to call the child controller, if the parent controller want to call the child controller, how it happens? Now, in the events, what happened? Child component fired the event that was handled by the parent. But now what I'm saying is, child is not firing. Parent is directly calling the child. In the event, child is firing, parent is capturing. In the events, let it be a component level event, application level event, child is firing it and parent is handling it. So it's the child who initiated the operation. But here my context is, child is not firing. Straight away parent want to pull some action from the child. Parent want to invoke some action from the child. Whatever the action that is defined on the child, the parent want to straight away invoke it. For this type of concepts, we require a functionality called URA method. I repeat, whatever the child side controller is there, child component controller is there, that child side component controller I want to invoke directly within the parent component. Again, I repeat, if the parent component want to invoke the client side control of the child within the parent, how it is defined. This is implemented by using a concept called URA method. So what is that URA method? I'll define it here. It is a parent component. I'll try to reduce the size. It is a child component. In the child component, we are defining URA method. Name. Do you remember action function concept? You people, I think you remember the similar concept we have done in the classic by using an action function. No, I'll just let me give one context here. URA attribute. You pass on the attributes here, 1 or 2. This is nothing but arguments. So child component define URA method, and there is a name for it called ABC. Parent want to invoke it. ABC. If you call parameters, you can give the parameters. This is how we define. In the child, we define URA method, which can be invoked directly by the parent, by using the child component dot the URA method name. As I told you, the same concept we applied in the same concept we had, similar type of concept we had in the Visual Force as apex action function name equal to that's we can use assign to value. Now I have some JavaScript. In the JavaScript, I was calling action function. How do you call the action function? My call. Now, when you say my call, what will happen? Whenever I call my call, invoke method is called. Invoke method is called with the parameter Satish. So the name of the action function is my call. When you call the my call, you're calling an apex class method called invoke. Similarly, here also same story happens. Here what I told, URA method name equal to my call, action equal to c.invoke. This is how I give. If any component want to invoke it, right. So that's a function. This was a child component. I have some, let's say, so what happened when you click on the submit, then we are going to call a function, some function, show function is called. Here where element equal to component dot get component dot find the element whose ID is 1. When I say find the element whose ID is 1, this child component I am referring to. Then I will say element dot, what is the method we give in the child component? My call. My call. What they are expecting? They are expecting a parameter. This is what I am giving. So this is a parent component. This is a child component. It is a parent component. These are the child component. The method which is defined in the method which is defined in the child component. What is the method? Here we had action. Now we will see what is that action. This is a method which is defined. The URA method which is defined in the child, we are trying to call here. With what name? I am not calling c.invoke. I am calling my call. Whenever you say my call, it is going to call invoke. That's what I was trying to tell you here. Whenever we call my call, it is going to call invoke function. Here also, whenever I call my call, it is going to invoke action of the child. So child component has some URA method which can be invoked directly in the parent class, parent component. So to do this, what I need to know, first I need to create a child component with one method, URA method, and give some parameters for that method. Then let us see how this can be invoked. This is almost similar to your action function. They always behave like your action function. Let me show it on the screen how actually it works rather than the theoretical description. Let me put up some example. This is how I got it. And was giving just for the sake of understanding the concept, I'm giving basic example. So I had a component with a method. When I call this call me, invoke method is called. Go to the invoke method. Now, here, how to read the parameters? So here we are going to say where params. You can say params are arguments. Then component dot get params arguments. What are the parameters you passed? Get those parameters. What are the parameters we passed? Get those parameters. Now, whatever the parameters we have passed, get those parameters. Now it is array of parameter. It is an array of parameter because we may pass one parameter or we may pass multiple parameters. We may pass one parameter or we pass multiple parameters. So that is an array of parameter. From array of parameter, one by one parameter, we have to read it. Now by how we are reading? By the attribute names. What are the parameters you have passed? By using that attribute names, like I gave name and city. By using that name and city, we'll be able to read it. So again, I give it. Now we are going to get array of elements. When you're getting array of elements, what I was supposed to do? What I was supposed to do? So it's not a component I was supposed to take as event here. Params dot. What are this parameter we are passing here? Name and city. So here we had this. So here, right, this is a fixed word, arguments are fixed word, and this is going to give you read one by one parameter. Then what is the action that you want to do? You can do it. Component dot set v dot emp name and city. So whatever the parameters that are passed, okay, read those parameters and set their parameters to emp name and city. Whatever the parameters that are passed to this method, read those parameters and set those parameters to emp name and city. This is a child component. Then define the parent component. Right. The parent component I'm giving method child id equal to your id equal to, let me give anything, first one, or then I was supposed to invoke some client side controller, label equal to on click. Right. When you click on this, you're trying to invoke this one. Show, go to the show. So here I'm finding out where child equal to component dot find first. Find the element whose ID is first. Find the element whose ID is first. That means I'm referring to the child. Once you are referring to the child dot invoke the IRA method. What is the name of the IRA method? Call me. Child dot call me. They're expecting parameter Satish. So I'm giving here some Bangalore. So this parent component, the parent controller is invoking a child controller method. Parent controller is invoking a child controller method. Whatever the name I have given for the IRA method, with the help of that name, what is the name I gave? Call me. With the help of that call me, the parent controller is trying to invoke the child class control. The parent component controller is calling child component controller function. Let me put them in the application and invoke it. You're getting this value. Call me. What was that? Call me. Why are you getting the call me here? Actually, you're supposed to get data. Imp name. Same story. I gave text. I was supposed to give string here. Okay. Then I was supposed to make some breakage here. Okay. We are getting the call me here. Let me cross check. Okay. Call me. Name we are getting here. Okay. Let me invoke this and put up whether it's invoked or not. Console.log. Go back to the structure. Reload. The name of the method is coming actually. Undefined. Second value is getting undefined. Okay. C dot show show component dot find child dot call me okay. Everything is perfect here. Okay. Name of the method call me. Okay, let me cross check from the beginning once again.
Okay, Satish, in the parent controller, you are calling call me. I think it's the method, the first that's available in the method parent.component. Should that be the same thing?
1 minute. Let me cross check what is label is submit. There's no method here called. It's a method called show. In the parent component, we have a method called show. The show was invoking a method called child.callme. So child.callme is this, what I have defined here. So in the controller, what I have given here is invoke. Component.invoke. So the values are not getting passed here actually. We are getting the name of the element. So let me cross check event dot get param. It's not params. It was supposed to be parameter because all the parameters are taken as single element. Anywhere we take parameters, it was supposed to be taken as single element. Yeah, Satish. So the bug what I made here is params. I made it, but generally let it be action function, remote action. Let it be action function, remote action, or let it be any scripting. If you are trying to pass the list of parameters, it will be considered as a single string. If you are taking any scripting functionality where you are passing the parameters and you are trying to read the parameters from the scripting, then it will be taken as a single parameter. Not only this scripting functionality, even in the web services also, when you take input components, the soap or header, all the input components are taken as a single message and passed. But here, I forgot that and kept a params here. I can say as a different parameters. All the input parameters which are passed, will be taken as a single param. It will be taken as a single parameters. Whenever we are passing a group of parameters to a script or to the web service calls, even that the same story happens with your REST API, SOAP API. All the input parameters what we are passing will be winded up into a single message and that message will be passed. So it is a single get param, but I have given get params because of which we got the issue. Right. So now let's get back and see. Repeat the thing. Right, boss? Okay. Again, I repeat the point. Maybe that will be helpful to you. Now, whatever the parameters we are passing to the scripts or to the web service calls, all the input parameters what you have given will be converted into a single parameter, a single message. For that matter, it's not parameter also. Single input message will be converted, and the single input message will be passed. So I was supposed to take get param here. Instead of get params, I was supposed to take get param. That is the reason why I got a bug in this program in the first execution. I hope everyone is good with this. Right, Amma?
Okay, so Satish, a quick question. So if the method is in the controller, so it can be called from most of the other anywhere. But here, by advantage of moving it to our method is that we are able to call a method in other components JavaScript controller.
Yeah. The point here is method of one component can be called by its parent component directly without firing any events. Generally, method in one component will be called by another component with the help of events. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now here, without events, the method of one the method in one component we want to call in another component, then we go for ERA method.
So there are no restrictions on sibling versus parent child
No,
here.
no.
Anything
It's
can happen anywhere.
parent can call, not the sibling.
Okay, okay.
Because
Parent.
because when I
Oh,
keep an ID, then only it can be revoked, right? I have to refer to the element.
oh, okay, okay. So you are defining a local child here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Right. Anyone else has any query? I hope everyone is good with this. Right. So let us move on to the next one. I'll go with the lightning interfaces. How to define interfaces? How to use them. How to define the interfaces? How to use them. How to define interface? Basically, what an interface will do? Interface is a collection of undefined methods. Now, whatever the concept of interface is there in the OOPS, whatever the concepts of interface is there in the OOPS, the same concept will be applied here. So generally what happens there in a Apex programming or in a Apex programming, what will be there in the interface? It is a collection of data members and unimplemented methods. It is a collection of data members and unimplemented methods. Here also in the lightning, if you want to go with interfaces, here we are going to have lightning interface. It is a collection of attributes, URA methods, and events. Lightning interface is a collection of URA attributes, URA methods, and URA register event. Lightning interface is a collection of attributes, register events, methods. An example like I got here, lightning interface. Text. URA method. Right. So whatever the URA method we have defined, the same story. Now let me do one by one. First, let me finish off with the attributes. Then I'll go with the methods example. First, let me go with the attributes. Then I'll go with this. But basically, what was this? It is a collection of unimplemented. It is a collection of methods, attributes. It is a collection of attributes. Okay, URA methods and register events Okay. First, let me start the example with URA attributes. Go back to the story. File, new, lightning interface. Look at the story once again. File, new, lightning interface. So I have defined the interface. So the way you're defining lightning component, lightning application like that, we have lightning interface. Okay. Then I'm giving lightning interface attribute. Okay. Now go to the lighting component. Implements. Already we have seen how to implement the standard interfaces like has record ID, has as object name. Okay. Similarly, we are defining our own custom components here. Name. Just same like your Apex based interfaces. Whatever the interface concept is there in Apex, same story happens here also. Right. So when I click on the button, it is invoking a show. When you invoke a show, I'm setting the value of name. I'm setting the value of EMP name. Go to the lighting application. This availability default value. So whatever the attributes we have given in the interface, automatically those attributes will be available for the component who is implementing that interface. When a component implement an interface, the attributes defined in the interface will be available automatically in the component. We can use them, we can refer to them using the client-side controller. Okay, we can use them and we can refer them using a client-side controller. When an interface is defined with a group of attributes, any component which is implementing this interface, the component have access to these attributes. When you want some data to be common for multiple components, then we define those data as an attributes in the interface and share that interface with every component. Again, I repeat, any component, any interface defined with a group of attributes. If a component is implementing that interface, the attributes of that interface will be available to the component and they can access it and modify it. So when you go for this, when you want some set of data to be common for every component, when you want the same set of data to be available for multiple components, then you define an interface with the attributes and share that interface with the multiple components. Is that was clear for everyone in terms of attribute? Did everyone get this concept? I hope everyone is good with this. Look at the component. In the component, I have not defined any attributes. EMP name and age I have not defined here. These two attributes are defined in the interface. So the interface has two attributes. When a component implemented this interface, the attributes of that interface are also available for the component. The attributes of that component are also available for the attributes of the interface are also available for the component. Is that was clear, boss? Is that was clear for everyone?
Sir, we can create a server-side class for that interface.
See, now server side class will not, if you want to handle that at the Apex level, you can do that. Now here the point is, for the component you want some data to be available by default, then we are putting it. Now you want to go with the server side and handle it, you can do it. It's not a problem, right? So in Apex class can also implement an interface. Now this is component level implementation. Got it, Amma? Got it.
Got it.
Right. Now, anyone else has any query on that? If no one has a query, I'll just move on to the next one. Okay. Now, let us get into the next story. Next story is, I am going with interface with methods. I'm going with interface with the methods. Interface with the methods. Now, let us get into the story. So I'm giving name, you can also give action code. But to have a naming conflict. Right. I give an interface with the raw method. Now go to the interface. So we are supposed to define submit on click then go to the controller, action component event. So how you are calling this? Now, whatever the method we have given here, that method is invoking it. Whatever the method we are giving here, the method component dot component. This component, because the component implemented the interface, whatever that is there in the interface will be coming to this component. So this component right now has lightning button, and also this component has got URA method. So because the component implemented, just give me 1 minute, boss. Right, okay. Now lightning button label. So because the component implemented this interface, everything that is there in the interface, is a part of this component. So I'm saying component dot call me. So when you say call me, it is going to call invoke method. Invoke method is going to print I am interface method call me. So let me run this and show you. Oops. I was supposed to click on inspect. What was this? I am interface method call me. What does it mean? When a component implement an interface, all the methods which are defined in the interface, they'll be coming here. Now, when you say name of this method is call me, and the function what I have to give is invoke. This is the same functionality what you are supposed to give in the scripting. I'll put it in the diagramical representation probably. Raw method. Not taking any attributes, just methods I'm giving directly. No. Component 1. Then what the component 1 should do? It has to define, invoke. Component 1 has which methods? Raw method. Raw method. Fun call. So they have to define function. It's a must that they have to define the same functions in the JavaScript. So whenever somebody call me, invoke function is called. As I told you, just it's an interface concept. The interface also what happened? Unimplemented methods are there. Everybody have to define the same. Batch apex, start method, execute method, finish method. Because the interface contains the 3 methods. Everybody who want to use, they are also supposed to have the same. They're also supposed to have the same method names. Component 2, which is implementing. Component 2. They also have component 2. They also have call me, because when an interface implement, if a component implement an interface, all the methods in the interface will be coming. So when a component, when the component 2 implements the interface, all the methods defined in the interface will be coming here. Fun. So names are fixed, and function names are fixed. Logic is up to your choice. So name of the method is fixed, and what is the function that should be called, that is also fixed. Logic can be modified. So whenever any component implement an interface, all the methods defined in the interface will be coming to the component, and the method names will be fixed, and the function name is also fixed. So whatever the logic you want to define, that should be defined within the function name. Invoke. So I have to define within an invoke. So if you want to call this, please mute your mic, Amma. If anybody want to call it, they are also supposed to call with the call me. Did you get my point?
Okay, so Satish, so while defining the interface, we are just saying when the call me is called, call the invoke method. Don't we specify the signature for the invoke method in the interface?
No, attributes are given. No, if you want to take an attribute, you can take it. If you want to take a parameters, you can take it. So I took it without parameters. If you want to take with parameters, you can take it. Just like what I am giving here. Public void show. This is how they are defined. When you want to implement, we are giving class 1. Class 1 implements. Example. You do whatever the logic you want. The function name should be the same. The same story we are implementing. When you have an interface.
Well, 210 and 150.
Could you please mute your mics, Amma? Please mute your mics. Yeah. So we have an interface. We have an interface with the methods. The class whoever is implementing this interface, they have to define each and every method in the interface. The method names are same, but the actions are going to be different. Now, when a class implements an interface, it has to redefine every method that is there in the interface. The name will remain the same, the logic will change. The same story I was also telling you. URA interface. I told URA method. The same story I am giving. Now, any interface who implement this, any class, any component which implements this interface, then this component automatically have this. So this component has to define invoke method, show method. The component which implemented that interface has to define invoke function and show function. Is that was clear for everyone? Have you got the story?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, let us move on to the next story also. I told you interface is a collection of attributes, methods, and events. Attribute is a collection of methods, attributes, and events. Let me take one example with the yes. Again, I repeat, this is exactly the same what we do in OOPS concept. There is no difference. Exactly the same concept we are using here. Right. Now first, when you want to design this, you are supposed to go with the event creation. Let me check. File, new, file, new, lightning event. Now let me take this component here, application, I'll remove it and keep it as component. Then I was putting here some URA attribute, name equal to some EMP name I'm giving, type equal to string I was taking. Right. So we had a component with the name interface event 1. Chalo. Now let me use this. Here I was giving interface. The interface I was registering an event. URA name equal to first, type equal to C dot interface. Okay. So I got an interface. In the interface, I have registered an event. First, I have registered an event with a name called first, which is referring to the interface event 1. Interface, I have an interface with an event. Now, a component is trying to implement this interface. Implements C dot. Now, what was that? Any component which fires the event. If a component fires the event, if a component fires component level event, if any component fires component level event, the same component can handle it, or its parent component can handle it. Any component which fires the event, the same component, any component which fires a component level event, any component which fires component level event, the same component can handle it, or its parent component can handle it. So here I was giving URA handler name equal to first, action equal to event equal to C dot now. Because the component is implementing the interface, in the interface whatever the event was there in the sorry boss, okay, in the component firing the event, when the component is firing the event, look at the point, component implementing the interface. When a component implement an interface, in the interface whatever the event that is registered, that will be a part of this component. So go back to the story. I'm giving here lightning button label submit on click. So invoke. When you click on the button, invoke is called. So I'm going to the invoke. Then I'm giving where evt equal to component dot get event, get the event, evt dot set params. Now when I click on the button, invoke is called. Invoke is getting the event called event with the name first. It is invoking an event with the name called first. Invoking an event with the name called first, set the parameters and fire it. Once the fired, this component is handling it. I told you, if a component fire an event, the same component can handle it, or its parent component can handle it. So given here, show. Then get the params. Just give a console to tell that it's fired. Event captured. Put this in the application. Event captured. Now any event that is defined in the interface, if events are defined in the interface, any component, now what is that? In the interface we are registering some events. If a component implement an interface, all the events which are registered in the interface, they'll be a part of this component. When interface register any events, we have an interface with a group of registered events. When a component implement this interface, all the registered events in the interface, will be a part of this component. So basically, interface is a collection of attributes, methods, and events. When a component implement any interface, all the attributes of the interface, methods of the interface, registered events of the interface will be a part of the component which is implementing. Right, Amma? Is that was clear? So when you go for interface, when you want to have a same naming convention, when you want the function names to be same, when you want the attribute names to be same data you want to share with multiple components, then we go with interfaces. So whatever the functionality you are using in the Apex interfaces, the same concept is applied here. Only the difference here is there we take data members and methods. Here we take attributes, methods, and registered events. Right, Amma? I hope everyone is good with this. Right. Let us move on to the next story. This is very, very important. We frequently use this functionality. Listen carefully. This is very important. The concept what we are going to learn now. Now the story is overriding the actions. In the classic, you have a concept of overriding standard buttons, creating custom buttons on the standard pages. Now every S object has some standard functionalities, like we have new, list, delete, edit, create. This type of standard functionalities are there in every S object. On every S object, we have some standard functionalities. On every S object, we have some standard functionalities. Now, if you want to replace those standard functionalities, then what we do? We go with the visual force with the extension concept. Okay. Similarly, here also in the lightning, we have a concept of overriding the standard functionality. Now the standard new button, whatever the new button we have, I want to replace it. Let me give you this. Now I have a new button. When I click on this, this pop-up window is opening. I want to replace this. Page. When I click on import, we're getting a standard functionality. So now what I want some standard functionalities to be replaced. What are the standard functionalities that Salesforce is giving? I want to replace those standard functionalities. This I want to replace, new contact. So the standard functionalities what Salesforce is giving you, like edit and delete, all this stuff, I want to replace it. So how to replace that? So to replace this, we have a functionality called override, action override. We had a interface called action override. So if you want to override any button in the classic, we use the concept called standard controller. Object on which you want to override the functionality. That object we used to take as a standard controller in the Visual Force page. If you want to replace any one of the standard functionality with a custom functionality, like we got a new button, edit button, delete button. If you want to modify the functionalities of those buttons, then we have used a concept of standard controller with extension. Whatever the S object used to take, whatever the S object on which you want to replace, that S object we used to take as standard controller. Similarly, if you want to replace any one of the standard functionalities in the lightning, there are two things which we need to apply. One is we are supposed to implement an interface called lightning override. And also we are also supposed to know name of the object on which we are trying to override. Now we also need to know the name of object. There I used to give standard control equal to account, telling to the system boss I was trying to replace the buttons on the account object. Standard control equal to contact. We are trying to tell to the system, we are trying to replace the functionality on the contact. Similarly, in the lightning also, when you want to replace any functionality, we need to tell the name of the object. So to tell that, we have a force has S object name. Has record ID insists that ID of the record should be passed. Force has S object name insists that the name of the object should be passed. Again I repeat. Has record ID will insist that ID of the record is passed. Similarly, we have has S object name insists that the name of the object is passed. So if you want to override any one of the standard functionalities, it is a must that we need to go for those implementation. So already we discussed these functionalities. I'll just quickly try to copy paste the functionalities here. I just don't want to type all the structure now. We already run these examples couple of times. I'll just paste this. The lightning components what I'm showing here, we already run number of times. Let me show you this code. Code create is already available. Right. Let me explain the code. The first story, lightning action override, which I discussed right now. This is the interface which you have to implement to override any button. Has a record ID, has a subject. Already we have seen a concept of record. Already we have seen a concept of record edit form, record view form. Record edit form, record view form. Now I was giving a record edit form. When you want to give a record edit form, we have to tell which object is this. We give account. So we gave the structure here: name, industry, rating, type, ownership, description, phone, active. These are the list of fields which are trying to refer. Simply we are giving a record edit form. We are simply giving a record edit form. We are simply giving a record edit form. We are simply giving a record edit form from the account object. Record edit form from the account object. Right. I hope there's nothing difficult in this story. We already done this type of example a couple of times. Only the thing that we are adding up now is lightning override. Now what I was supposed to do after creating this, because we have a lightning override, go to the account object. Or else you can go to the object manager, setup, platform, tools, objects and fields, object manager. Go to the object manager, go to the account object. Then we have buttons and links. There, I want to override one of the button. Now you can add a new button. You can add a new button, or you can override the new button was there. Here I was trying to lightning experience override with lightning component. Which component is this? Account. Why only two components are coming here? Because only those components which implement lightning interface, they will get this story. Account, new one, save. Go back to the account, new. Let me refresh. Not yet modified. Let me refresh. The changes are not reflected. Okay. See. So the standard functionality is replaced with our custom functionality. This is what I was trying to tell you. We want to replace any one of the standard actions. If you want to replace any one of the standard action, we go with this. You want to replace any one of the standard action, we'll go with this. Similarly, I will also go with this is the create. I also want to go with the view button. If you go to account, view and edit. View and edit. I want to replace with the view and edit. So how to view the record and edit record. So go back to this functionality here. I'm going with the same story, like view I gave as output. There's above is input I gave, now I gave it as output. There's no change I have made. The same story. Instead of input field, I am giving as output field. record view form. This is okay. Then go back to the story. Again, go to the object manager.
Satish, in the object action override, all we are saying is we are extending the S-object name interface.
Come again.
So, okay. So we are not specifying it is account or contact. So which means that the same buttons will be available for all the objects, right? It's up to us to select the right.
Exactly. See,
okay.
It will not insist that this is available for account. Okay. Now when you say action override, that is available for every button. Now you tell the component
every object or
every object. They are available for every object. Okay. Let's say in the previous one we got opportunity object also, right?
That's correct. That's why I just want to clarify. Because in the Visual Force page, since we specify the object name, it will not show up.
Yes. So we can go with the view button here. Standard page. Replace with lightning. Look at this. All the three are coming up now. The functionality which tells these people is if you are using action override, this is used to override the standard functionalities on S object. That's what it is trying to convey. Okay. So go back to the object again and refresh the code. Let the changes be applied. Open any one of the record. Still not changed. Changes are not applied. Changes are not applied. Okay. Still we can go with the next one. Let the changes be taken. Now similarly we can go with the edit form. So what I was trying to do, whatever the structure we created, we are just trying to create the structure and apply that functionality on the subject. As just now somebody is asking me, can I apply the same story with another object? In that case, what I'm trying to do, I will do this example here. Contact. First name. Phone. Email. Okay. Now I was taking this. Go back. Setup. Objects and fields. Object manager. I gave their contact, but I was trying to perform the action with I selected the account, but I was trying to perform the action with the contact. Okay. First, let me put up the action here. Okay, go back to the story here. Will the changes be applied? Still not applied. Now look at this. Last name, first name, business, email. Clicked on save. After saving, what to happen? I didn't give. Record is just, it is used to save the record. I just asked the record to save. Go back and see. Right, Emma? So on the account, I replaced the new button on the account with a lightning component which is used to create a contact. So it has no impact. So it is supposed to specify the name of the S object. That's all. It doesn't matter whether it's an account or contact or any other opportunity. So basically, our intention is to override standard functionality given by the Salesforce. To override this, we require three interfaces. One is action override. Second one is has record ID. Third one is has as object name. By using this, we'll be able to replace the functionalities. Is that was clear for everyone? Right, boss?
Yes, sir.
So that's all from my end for the day. We'll finish off the session for the day.